I am concerned about what has been said about this bill and what it's going to do, the extreme comments that have been made about it, and how I believe that it is scaring people out there in the country unnecessarily. The words I've heard, particularly today, are cut, rip, gut, kill, cruel, stealing food, losing coverage, jammed through, biggest transfer of wealth from vulnerable to wealthy people, irresponsible. That's not the way we ought to be talking about this bill.
A few mere hours after the United States Senate has passed this bill without any final text on what we're actually going to be voting on, we're here considering this bill. It's laughable and, in my view, deeply disrespectful to the way in which the House of Representatives is supposed to function.
Mr. Neguse.
Of course, I'm happy to yield.
Would you yield for a question?
Sure.
Are you aware that the Democrats did this when the Senate passed a 4,000-page bill and sent it over to the House, and the Rules Committee met very soon after that?
When was this?
Perhaps. I think, I'm not sure if it was the IRA. I will get you the specific date, but I don't know if you were appalled at the way the House operated then. But I figured you probably weren't aware that the precedent was set very badly by the Democrats. So thank you for yielding.
Madam Chair, I'm going to yield to the ranking member in a moment. First, I would hope that you might ask the team, your team, to provide us with that example so that we can have a more fulsome colloquy instead of you sort of citing a random example that I'm not aware of. But I also would just say, if I guess that Madam Chair is making the case that
I now have the facts. Consolidated Appropriations Bill in 2023.
So an appropriations bill that was bipartisan that the vast majority of the United States Congress voted on, that's the example you're offering compared to a reconciliation bill that is purely partisan that not a single Democratic member of the United States Senate or the House of Representatives is voting on? That's the corollary to this particular bill? As Ranking Member Boyle, I think, eloquently put it in questioning, or rather in his answers to Representative Scanlon, the precedents that Republicans are setting in this Congress will certainly be leveraged down the road when political winds shift, and we have seen that on full display over the last month and a half.
Yeah, see, they say they're pro-life because they want the baby to be born, go to school, and get shot in the school. Die in the school, die on the streets. No. That is what they say.
I'm not going to say anything. You've gone over the cliff.
I move to strike his words.
Over the cliff. Wait. You've gone over. We were going to be quiet, but you've gone over now.
I meant every word.
We are going to strike your words. But on the other hand, it might be good to leave your words. Might be good to leave your words. Because that's how you feel. But you are not going to come into this room and impugn our integrity. You will not. We are pro-life people from conception to natural death. Most of us are. And don't you come in here and say, we want to preserve life so people can get shot.
That's what I've seen.
Are you through, Ms. Ledger-Fernandez? I hope so.
By the way, I might remind my Democrat colleagues of Proverbs 13:5. Democratic colleagues of Proverbs 13:5, and you can add 14:5 to that too.
This whole bill is
I don't really understand what it is that y'all plan to go back and tell your constituents. I'm glad that some of y'all decided to show up, but the reality is that You have sold your constituents out for 83 people in this country. And each of our districts should have approximately 766,000 people. How is it that you can explain that we still are running up the credit card and we have nothing to show for it except for the fact that we won't have food on the tables and we won't have health care? And with that, I will yield.
Thank you.
Virginia Foxx really is just the oldest example of the typical racism, nonsense, incompetence, and foolishness that you see out of Republican leaders in the House of Representatives. And we've been talking about Trump's big, beautiful bill, more like his big bull bill, for months and months as he's been gearing up to sign it into law, setting this July 4th arbitrary date to get it passed. And all the senators, including Lisa Murkowski, you know, all those people who said they weren't so sure that they wanted to sign this into law. She got a little bit of what she was looking for, but Alaska. But for everybody else who cares, you know, to hell with your health care. This man is about to take away health insurance and health care from 17 million people, raise the cost of electricity, destroy industries of the future, like Elon Musk says. Now, it's funny to look at Elon Musk and Donald Trump's feud, because at the end of the day, we can't give him too much love, because the only reason he cares about this is because he wants his government subsidies and because Tesla is an electric car company. But other than that, he's totally okay with you losing access to Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security. He's totally okay with destroying the administrative state, firing tens of thousands of people who are in positions to make sure that everyday people have access to what they need to survive. So let's not give him too much love. And also, Democrats, don't get too gung-ho about getting him on the team, because that's not going to be accepted by very many people, especially not the left. But generally speaking, when we look at people like Virginia Foxx using these arbitrary examples to say, well, the Democrats did the same thing, they haven't. Donald Trump has broken all of his campaign promises. It hasn't even taken him half a year to do it, including getting in the war with Iran. They were the ones who said that Kamala was going to do this, but we all know that the Republican Party has been itching for war with Iran for decades. This is nothing new. But this is what the American people voted for, and we still got 3.5 years left of Donald Trump, unless something goes wrong for him.